So there are a number of things that we're going to talk about here. If there's a star here, it's a PowerPoint presentation. And a lot of this is repeated in different slides. So you just sort of have to bear with us. But this first stuff is numeric, not specific to people necessarily. And then we'll get into using the Illinois Voter Guide, Board of Elections website. Rochelle is going to talk about election security. Then we'll talk about the referendum. So there's a lot to cover here. And what we're going to do is to put off questions until the end, unless it's something that is absolutely essential that you feel that the question needs to be asked, and put that in the, either raise your hand or put that in the chat, and someone will monitor the chat to kind of keep track of that. So let me stop the share for the moment. We've picked up a few more people. So let's start with Pat Wilder, who's going to talk about the procedures for an election. Now, many of you have voted numerous times, so you know all of this, but some of you are new and you don't. So that's why we're going through all of this information. So Pat, if you want to.
So before I go get into the dates and the deadlines and the sites for the March primary, Helena's given me the okay to give you a little bit of information about what's going on at the high school. During the pandemic, instead of alphabetizing my spices, I went to all the school websites, picked up the emails of all social studies teachers and principals, and then I have been sending out information to them about how the league can help them with voter registration events, or if we want to go into the school, or if they want us to help them hold an in-school registration event. Let's see if I can go. We've got volunteers that have been going to the zoo. Tana and I have been organizing it for the last few years, but we've spread out now and got some new people involved. And 3 of them actually joined the league in order to be able to do this. So it's a nice recruiting tool for people who want to go into the high schools. So far, we visited these 6 schools, and we're going to be visiting 5 more next week. And we've registered 345 kids so far. The numbers are really up. And Tana put together a pictorial history of the voting rights, and that's been a big draw for the kids. They like to take a look at it, and teachers have actually been sending some of their classes to these to the exhibit also. One of the fun things that we went to was the agricultural school down on 111th Street. 2 students took Tana and I for a tour of their food lab, their trout tank, woodworking shop, outdoor pens, horse ring, and barn where we saw alpacas, cows, goats, horses, chickens, and 2 cats. They're all cared for by the students. And last Thanksgiving, the students provided over 500 meals, Thanksgiving meals, to members of the community. Although the process for visiting the schools can be complicated and sometimes time consuming, we've been enthusiastically welcomed, and sponsoring teachers have been happy to accept our invitations. And if you'd like to join us, just get in touch with me. Okay, now let me get to the nuts and bolts here. Okay, I'm going to have to do it this way because I have no idea how to do it on the full screen. All right, we all know that the primary election is on March 19th and the general election is on November 5th. So we got 3 options for voting, and there is absolutely no reason for anyone in Illinois not to vote, either by mail, early voting, or on election day itself. in order to vote by mail, you do not need an excuse like some states require. But there is a information that you need to have as far as what the dates are when you can apply for the vote by mail. The deadlines are you have to apply it by the 14th, but you have to make sure that it's postmarked by the 19th, and the 20th is the last day for registration on especially on the 275 for it. It has to be in the Board of Elections office by 5 o'clock that day. But there is a grace period, of course, at the Loop Super Site. You can go and register there, and March 3rd is the last day for registering online. There we go, it's working. We got, there's the grace period is listed there, the February 15th to March 18th, and then early voting sites are going to be opening on March 4th to the 18th. And there's a place in all 50 wards. In order to find out where your site is, you can go to that website. Of course, there's a lot of in-person voting options. You need to, some of them might require a photo ID, and I especially have to go over this with the kids because this is their first time voting, and that they need to bring a couple of pieces of ID with them when they go to vote. But it's a good idea just to have it just in case. If you vote at your regular voting site, you probably won't need to have it. Here's information about the early voting registration and registration. February 15th to March 18th at the super site. And then at the Board of Elections, you can also vote on the 6th floor. March 4th to the 18th is the early voting sites for all the March 19th is election day. Polls are going to be open from 6 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night. You can vote in your home precinct, or you can go to any of the voter centers, and that includes the early voting sites. This is the primary election, so you need to declare a party in order to vote. And there are 4 parties going to be listed on the for you to choose from. Okay, if you need more information, you know how to get in touch with us, the League of Women Voters. All right.
What I'm going to talk about here, and some of these slides are the same for all the presentations so that they can stand alone if that's necessary. So I'm going to talk about the federal and state parts of the ballot this time. And let's just do it this way. So you're just looking at the one. Again, this is repeat, but sometimes you need to repeat some of these things. Again, you have to declare a party. If you do not declare a party with this particular election, all that you will receive on your ballot is the referendum, which is in Chicago. So, but otherwise you have to make a choice. And Libertarian and Green are not available in all precincts, so it will depend on whether your precinct has that particular, has a candidate from that party. And we'll get to that later. Now, what's going to be elected is the delegates to the Democratic National Convention, which is taking place in Chicago from August 19th to 22nd. I know a number of people have indicated to me that they're interested in participating in that in some way. They're elected by congressional districts, and how many delegates that district has depends on whether how many voters there were in prior elections. Delegates are identified as pledged to a candidate. We'll get to that very shortly. Illinois will have 155 pledged delegates out of a total of 184. On the ballot for the presidential candidates right now are Biden, Dean Phillips, Marianne Williamson, and Frankie Lozada. For the Republican National Convention, that's going to be taking place in Milwaukee on July 15th to 18th. Again, delegates are identified on the ballot as pledged to a specific candidate. And Illinois will have a total of 54 pledged delegates out of a total of 67 delegates. On the ballot for the Republicans, again, this is what has been filed at this point. This may change. So you see the 5 people who are listed here on the Republican ballot. For U.S. representation in Congress for Illinois, there's 7 districts in Chicago. And this is, all I'm doing here is I'm not giving you names. I'll show you how you can get those if you're interested, but this is just to show you what kind of competition we have or don't have. So in these districts, you can see how many Democratic candidates there are and how many Republican candidates there are. So there is some opposition, but not totally. And there are 2 races here where there is no opposition to that for that particular race. This gets a little bit more involved. We have state senators in Illinois. Not all the state senator districts expire because they are 6-year terms and they change. These are the ones that are expiring. So you may not know off the top of your head which district you're in, but I'll show you later how to find which district you're in. For the state senators, you can see that in some cases there's no competition at all between the Democrats and the Republicans. You can see how many Democratic candidates there are and how many Republican candidates there are. For the Illinois state representatives, there are 36 representative districts in Chicago out of 118 total for the state. These are the ones that are the districts in Chicago. Again, 1 through 6. These now, I happen to be a numbers person, you can tell, but these are things you can sit down and look up which ones you're in and how you want to, you know, who you want to look up. So I can't obviously present all of that here. This is just a summary. In each of the districts, there are Democrats that have filed for the primary. There's more than one Democratic candidate in not all, but some of these districts. And for the Republicans, there are single candidates only in 3 districts. So the rest of these do not have any opposition, is the point here. Again, this is just our information. So let me stop the share. Do we have any quickie questions on this or? No? Okay. The next person who's going to present is Pris Mims.
Okay, I'm going to cover the candidates that are countywide. And let's see, there we go. And so first of all, the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, they have 6-year terms for regular terms. These are the people that are running in the Democratic Party. There are 4 candidates, only you can vote for up to 3. And then there are also 3 that are running for the Republican Party, and there's 1 running for the Green Party. Then there's also some 2 candidates running for a 2-year remaining term of a 6-year term. This is a case where the prior commissioner who was elected to the 6-year term has resigned, and so they currently have an appointed person in, and there are 2 years remaining on that 6-year term. So we've got 1 uncontested races for those. I should just quickly, the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, this is the group that basically takes care of stormwater management. They're charged with trying to prevent flooding in our homes, as well as then cleaning wastewater. So after you flush the toilet or the water goes down the sink, they clean all the water before it then ends up going down to the Mississippi River ultimately. So the Cook County Clerk of the Circuit Court, as you can see, we have 2 candidates running in the Democratic primary and uncontested races for both the Republican and the Libertarian Party. So if you pick any of those, either of those ballots, you have an easy decision to make. Then for the Cook County State's Attorney, and you're going to be hearing a little bit more about that because, of course, I hope if you haven't already watched the debate that the Cook County and Chicago League sponsored with ABC7, you'll be getting the link so you can watch it on YouTube. But we have 2 candidates for the Democratic Party and then uncontested races for the Republican and Libertarian Party. Finally, 2 races that are not countywide, but pick up a pretty big chunk of the county. And the first one is for the Cook County Board of Review, the 3rd district. Now, this is, this board basically hears appeals if you don't like the assessment that the Cook County assessor gave to the property you own. And you can appeal to a 3-member Board of Review. There are 3 districts that are set by the state legislation, and we have a contested race in the Democratic Party. I'm going to show you, okay, going to show you a few things here. I went to the Chicago Board of Elections, and one of the options on this website is you can see maps. So I'm going to the legislative maps page. And for the Board of Review, the 3rd district, here is the map. This is just showing you the portion that is within the city of Chicago. And you get a sense right here of how big. So it's basically much of the south side of the city, as well as a nice sliver going directly west. So it's a great portion of the city itself for the Board of Review. The next race I'm going to cover is the race for the Cook County Commissioner 1st District. So just to give you the map of that first. Again, this is just showing you the part within the city of Chicago. But again, you can see that essentially it's the central on the west side. And of course, it goes much further west into the suburbs. So the reason why I'm going through these so fast is you're going to get the copies of the slides. But here are those people who are running for the 1st District, Cook County Board of Commissioners. We've got 2 people running in the Democratic Party, no one at this point in the Republican, and there is a candidate on the Libertarian Party if you select that ballot. So the next thing I want to do is just quickly show you, I hope, the fact I want to just quickly show you. This is the WTDW voter guide. I know Helene's going to be talking a little bit about it, but I just wanted to show you. This is the guide that the Cook County League has been supporting for a number of years, and it has a number of things that they're covering, but in particularly they're covering the MWRD commissioners. And these are races that you very seldom get to find anywhere else. So just to click on the one where you've got connected, they give you a little bit of background, and you can see the candidates here. And you can click on them, and they have video interviews for them. So I'm just taking the first one here, who's listed, just so you can see what it looks like. So they have the candidate Q&A. They also have videos, so you can listen to the candidates. And I believe it's Per Schutz of WTTW that interviewed them all. So I just wanted to give you a little shout out that the link will be in the materials that Helene will be giving you. So that's it for mine.
Well, thank you. If you're new to all of this, to Chicago, or you haven't taken the time before, you may notice that there are tons of candidates on tens of positions, let's say, on your ballot. And it really takes a lot of, if you want to do this carefully, to go through each position, see what they do, and try to find the information about each of the candidates. One of the things I like to do is, and we'll talk about this later, print out a sample ballot and then mark it up, whether I'm going to do it by mail or take it into the voting booth with me. Okay, what I'm going to do next is, this is the information about the judicial and ward candidates. So on the judicial ballot, and I don't have all the names, but here are we have a Supreme Court race this time, candidate race, appellate, circuit, and sub-circuit judges are all on the ballot. There are 33 different courts that are represented, and there are a total of 53 Democratic candidates. So in many of these races, is no competition, and the others there are, as it says, there are 2 or more candidates in 15 districts. There are no Republican candidates on the judicial ballot at all. And again, if you go to this voteforjudges.org, you can get evaluations for judicial candidates from a variety of bar associations. Sorry. Then we have, within the ward, you have both Republican and Democratic Party committee persons, one in each Chicago ward. There are actual contests for the Democratic committee person in these wards that are listed here. So if your favorite ward is in that, there's a contest for the committee person. There are candidates for Republican committee persons in a number of wards, but not all of them, obviously. And there's only one contest, and that's in the 41st ward. There's a contest for the Republican committee person. And there are candidates for the Libertarian committee person in the 36th and 38th ward. So if you request a Libertarian ballot, you will have that on your ballot. Again, this is we can stop that particular sharing for that. Okay, so I have one more PowerPoint, and we've touched on some of this already. Okay, this is Chicago Board of Elections, and we'll go to this a little bit later, but you can get all this information about your registration, your polling place, your sample ballot, although they will not be available until February 15th, and the status of your vote by mail ballot. So if you voted by mail, you will get information about the status of that. There's an LWVIL voter guide, and we'll look at that briefly in a little bit also. This is the video voter guide that Chris mentioned. League of Women Voters of Cook County's website has information, but it also has the links to this. The newspapers may have links eventually at this point, or may have recommendations if you want to see who they recommend for offices. And then the Vote for Judges has a lot of information, as I mentioned before. Okay, in some sense, a lot of what I'm doing is repeated on some of the different presentations, because it overlaps. All this information overlaps from one one to another. Okay, so let's look at the Illinois voter guide.
While you pull that up, Helene, I'll just like to briefly say, so the Chicago League, we have an official partnership with ABC7 that was just finalized recently, but they now are going to be promoting the Illinois voter guide as well. So anything that they're doing kind of election related, including the debates and stuff, they do a big thing about the Illinois voter guide.
Oh,
So
that's
really
great.
that's really
Okay.
exciting that they're, using our tools for that.
Yeah, let me just show you what it looks like. This is what the picture looks like for the Illinois voter guide. And if you put in your address, then you can do all of these things and get information. Now, again, this is not updated yet. So you won't be, for instance, if I put in my address here, let's put in the league's address instead of mine. Did I have the wrong one? So he'll have all this information, find out when and where to vote, pledge to vote, how to register, research your ballot. This isn't available yet, but if you go in here, when and where to vote. Do you want to vote in person? Do you want to vote by mail? So let's say I want to vote in person. Pick a place to vote. Do I want to vote early? Do I want to vote on election day? So let's pick the 29th of February, just for fun. You're voting early on Thursday, February 29th. And this is where, again, that was the league's office, but here, this is where you can vote. Cook County Building in the Pedway, Board of Election, well, actually, super site.
Yeah, actually,
So-
that's wrong. We'll have to
That's wrong.
correct
I
that.
I realize that. We have to tell them that.
It's the 6th floor.
No, this is right. The Chicago Board of Election, the 6th, so this is right, but this is only for Cook County in the Pedway. Oh, I'm glad we did this, so we can, okay, when do you want to go? And then they'll send you a message that says, you've agreed to vote at such and such a time, if you want to do that. Okay, the next one I want to show you, and we've talked a little bit about this. This is from the Illinois Board of Elections. I'm sorry, Chicago Board of Elections website. And this is telling you where early voting is, how you change your address, how you vote by mail. If you go to your voter information, and you will get all of this you can get all this information, your precinct polling place, once the sample ballots are available, check the status of your vote by mail request. And let's just do this by address only. So I'll put, again, we'll put in the 332 South Michigan. Again, this is the league's office. And you have to tell them that you're not a robot.
Helene, I think you have to put in the street suffix.
Oh. Sorry about that. It tells you I'm in the 4th Ward, 25th Precinct. These are my districts. So we're looking at all the people running in the various districts. It'll tell you all the public officials. I'm not going to pull that up now. And then it says where I can vote on election day and where my early voting sites are. So that's all on the Chicago Board of Elections. This is the current candidates list for the presidential primary election. Oh, this is the referendum at the end of it, but you can see this was last updated yesterday at 11. But you can see that this is extremely long. It's 46 pages long. So this was what I used to distill the information I had before. This is a district, there's so many people running and so on. So here's all the delegates to the national conventions, state senators. I'll just pick my district, isn't here because that person isn't running, the state reps. So all the information in terms of the numbers that were on all my other slides came from this website, just picking everything out. So if you again, if you have 3 days to go through all of this, that certainly is possible to do.
Helene, would you just show the main
Sorry.
menu for voting and all the ways to vote on this website? Because
Yeah.
while I think the website on the Chicago League is excellent, in case you need more information, I think that's a really good
Let me
thing.
see if I can get back to that now. Why won't it let me get back?
There-
Yes, I'm screen sharing.
Top far left of your screen, top far left, there you go.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
And
So
go
what-
again. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, voting.
Which one did you want?
Well, I just thought if you'd show all this so that it can see all the information that's available.
Oh, okay. So your voter information, but where you register, vote by mail, early voting, where the drop boxes are. Let's just look at early voting for a moment. So here's the early voting. Here's all the sites. So you can find all of that. And what was the other one we wanted to look at? Drop boxes. So if you voted by mail, here are where all the drop boxes are. And obviously you don't have to use the one closest to you, or you want to use the one probably closest to you. You can also, of course, use a mailbox, but some people prefer to use the drop boxes. Okay, I think our next person who's going to speak is Rochelle Riffer. So Rochelle, would you like to introduce yourself and indicate what you're going to be
My name is
talking about?
Rochelle Riffer. I'm a member of the City Government Committee and also the League of Women Voters of Illinois Task Force on Mis- and Disinformation. So this task force was created in the fall. Members from all over the League of Women Voters of Illinois are getting together, and the goal, which I'll just read, empower local leagues in Illinois with tools to combat mis and disinformation during the 2024 election. So that's the major goal. Where as far as specifics, we are getting together a website which we think will be ready for the issues briefing in just a couple of weeks. We'll have a website. We hope to have newsletters, links to all kinds of good information. So the goal is to provide good information to league members and the community, and also dispel some erroneous and damaging myths that may come up. So the issues briefing, as I mentioned, which is coming on the 24th, well, a big segment of that program will be on mis and disinformation. We think we will have some speakers to talk on this topic during that program. So encourage everyone to sign up for it. And on the website, we are gathering information from all kinds of election jurisdictions throughout Illinois, including the Chicago Board of Elections, trying to identify common questions that the public may have, and try to encourage good information. For example, that the election machines are not connected to the internet, that in Illinois we have paper backup ballots for all our elections, and we'll have information about the certification of the equipment, the audit process. And so those are all things that we are gathering from all over the state of Illinois, from the election jurisdictions, and to have that information available to everyone. And in addition, on March 6th, we are having a speaker from the Illinois Board of Elections. His name is Matt Deach. He will be giving a webinar, and that will be on March 6th at 7 o'clock. And of course, it will be recorded, so anyone who cannot see the live stream will be able to watch it. So just keep tuned, but we are really excited about having all this information and links to it, and all kinds of other information that will be helpful. So that's just an overview of what this task force will be doing.
Okay, thank you, Rochelle. Next on our agenda is Jane Ruby, our president, who's going to talk about the referendum.
Hi, everyone. Okay, I'll try to keep this brief because there's a fabulous presentation that, has a lot more details about the referendum, but just a few quick things. So for people living in the city of Chicago, at the end of their ballot, there is a city-specific referendum item. It has been, for all intensive purposes, called Bring Chicago Home. So the actual, that's not the title that you're going to see on the ballot anywhere. You're not going to see the words Bring Chicago Home, but that's just kind of, how we are referring to it as. So the league did a study at the end of last year and into this year. So this is a complete analysis of the Bring Chicago Home ordinance on both referendum on pros and cons. So I won't go into, a lot of that, but I do want to sort of explain that in general, it is a proposed policy that aims at increasing the real estate transfer tax on properties over $1 million in order to fund expanded homelessness and intervention efforts. Hold on, I think here is what the text of the referendum looks like. So this is what you will see on the ballot. So it'll start with, shall the city of Chicago impose, and then it goes on to explain what the tax will do. And then the voters are going to be asked to vote yes or no on if they want this to happen. This presentation, which everyone will get a PDF of, and that all of our membership got a PDF of, and we will be making this available to the general public for education purposes, has a lot of really great explanation as to sort of the history of it, the pros and cons, kind of how you know, how this will go. And then, you know, it kind of just asks the voter at the end sort of, you know, to use this report and then make an informed decision on how they would like to vote on it. And I'm very proud of the league's work as a whole on this. And I hope that you will all take time to sort of read through it and share the information. Because there's a lot of sort of both sides of, you know, discussion and a lot of misinformation on this particular referendum item. So we really want to make sure that voters are very clear on what it is and, you know, vote accordingly.
Chris?
Is there, that was very good, Jane. Is there going to be kind of a one pager about this that we might be able to give to people or send to people that summarizes all this?
Yeah, so the current form of this is, you know, this is the complete information package. It's pretty dense just when you're sort of explaining it. We are trying to sort of condense it as much as possible. So we are working at sort of like a multi-step information rollout. We are also going to be sending it to sort of our partner organizations that they can also use for information, and it will be available for the public. So there'll kind of be different versions of it for people to use for what they need.
And so if any of us are asked how we feel as an individual, or if the league supports it, we're nonpartisan. I mean, I don't really know how I would answer that.
We
How
don't
I-
have a position.
So there is no league position on this referendum item. So we
Okay.
are, you know, we kind of have our two arms of league, which is sort of the voter service and voter education, and we have our advocacy and issues-based sort of, you know, kind of more lobbying type work. In this instance, we do not have a position on it. So we are doing the education component. So we have that allows us the freedom to present sort of all sides, to sort of have a very comprehensive education around what this is and allow the voters to be able to make a decision about it. If we had a position, we would not be able to have that full comprehensive education and provide that.
And obviously, we as individuals they say, well, how are you going to vote? Because that's a natural question.
Yeah,
We
That's
can-
your own
as
que- I mean,
as an
that's up to
individual.
you.
Yeah, as an individual, like when you know, you can kind of cover up your league button, and, you know, as long as it's not in any sort of league official capacity that you are presenting any of the information, people are, you know, we are all free thinking individuals who have free will. You know, we live in a representative democracy. You can sort of vote however you choose, and you can talk with people about that as a person, but as a league representative, we do not have a position on this referendum item. I will say that no matter what happens, whether it passes or not, I don't think that this is kind of the future of a lot of sort of how the city will be kind of thinking about things. And, you know, I don't think it will not be a thing. Whether it passes or not, they'll figure out something else. So we have a really active city government committee. We have a really active advocacy arm of the work that we do. So no matter what, we are going to sort of be there following any follow-up or any sort of additional legislative stuff on this. So no matter what, we are going to be involved in whatever the outcome is.
Should we be
Okay.
thinking about an op-ed since we're
right,
educating the public?
Chris, why don't you have that offline with
Okay.
Jane.
Okay.
Okay, our next presenter is Inanna Kasana, who's going to talk about what we've done with candidates forums for this election.
All right. Let me share my screen.
Okay, I have the thing you sent me. Do you want me to share it or you?
I got it. Yes.
Okay,
All right. So I'm just here to give a quick overview of the candidates forums we've done so far, the ones that are coming up, and the ones that we're still planning, as well as opportunities to help volunteer and work at one of these forums. So starting with past forums, we did partner with ABC7, Univision Chicago, and the League of Women Voters of Cook County to do a state attorney's debate. And in the link that will be sent out to all of these presentations, I linked the debate here if you haven't gotten the chance to see it. It was quite good. It was televised and recorded, so it's a nice recording. And now for some upcoming forums. So we are partnering with the Coalition for a Better Chinese American Community to do a forum for the Illinois State Representative for the 24th District. And that's going to be in 2 Thursdays from now. If you're interested in coming, it'll be located in Chinatown from 6 to 8 p.m. And we'll talk a little more about the volunteer opportunities and what we might need from you all. And in addition to that, we're in the works of doing video interviews like WTTW for some races they aren't covering, in particular the Board of Review for the 3rd District and the Clerk of the Court. So those are in the works and we're currently reaching out with the candidates. The plan for that is we're going to have them give a little opening statement and then ask them some predetermined questions.
And I think those are going to be uploaded to the Illinois voter guide, right?
Yes, they will be. And yeah, and if we have recordings for any of these, we're going to definitely upload them to the voter guide. And now we have some forums that are in the works. We're doing one for the state senator, and then we're also partnering with the League of Women Voters of Palos to do some for state representatives in the 36th and 35th district. We're also working on getting the Cook County Commissioner to do a forum, but we have to get both of the candidates just in the name of fairness and being nonpartisan. And finally, we're doing another state attorney type debate, and that's going to be on March 9th. And now for the important part of if you were interested in volunteering and helping out with the candidates forums, what we're looking for are people to help with voter registration up until the paper registration deadline. And we also need timers to help with timing the candidates and making sure they don't go over. And another thing we need is question runners. So at these forums, we ask the questions from the audience, and we take those questions and make sure to screen them for any duplicates or any biased questions. So that would be what you would do. And finally, if you are interested in moderating one of these forums and you've completed the Illinois moderator training, we would love to have you moderate one of our forums if you're interested. In particular, for the forum coming up in Chinatown in a couple of weeks, we do need timers and question runners. So if anyone is interested, feel free to email me, and I've listed my email down here. And that's pretty much all we have for forums going on so far.
okay, thank you very much. There are other upcoming opportunities for members. There's voter registration in general with certain deadlines that apply. Excuse me, this year we've been doing this new citizens voter registration after the people are sworn in to be citizens. We provide the opportunity for them to vote, to register to vote. And there are 2 or 3 of these sessions each week. I was amazed to learn how many people are sworn in to be citizens. This takes place at the Dirksen courthouse. And most of these individuals who do decide to register with us are very excited about the prospect of being able to vote. So it's nice to see that. We also will be doing some poll watching on the, I will get credentials if you're interested in doing any kind of poll watching. So for all of these, if you contact league@lwvchicago.org, we will be glad to set you up. We may try to put some of these on Sign Up Genius, but we haven't done it as yet. I just, sorry. Just want to remind people that there is an upcoming election in April, and that's for local school council in all of the Chicago public schools. And in order to vote in those, these are conducted by the Chicago Board of Education. Non-citizens can vote. The only requirement is that you have either you have a child in the school or you live in that area. And all that information is available from the Chicago Board of Elections under local school councils. So now I would just like to turn it over if people have other questions that they would like to ask. And just to repeat, all of the things that have been PDFs, all the things that have been PowerPoints here, I turn into PDFs and I will send them to all the people whose names and addresses I have who've been attending this. It'll take me a little while to pull it all together, but you will get that eventually, and it will be posted on the website as well. So for now, I'd like to just open it if people have questions.
I have a quick question
Sure.
for me. You mentioned that in order to vote, you need to declare a party.
That's
And
correct.
I registered by completing the form last week at your breakfast, but there was no mention of a party there. So how would I do that before?
You do not declare a party when you register to vote. You declare a party when you go in to vote. You fill out a ballot application where you
Okay.
put your name and other identifying information, and that's where you declare your party.
Or
Okay, okay.
if you're doing vote by mail, it'll ask you which ballot, like which
Yeah.
party ballot
Which
you
party?
want emailed.
Okay.
Because because we have nonpartisan, like, you know, you just register to vote generally, and when there
Generally.
is a partisan, like a partisan primary or something, that is the only time that you really kind of evoke a party distinction
Yeah.
with, you know, what you do.
But if
Okay,
you say
so it-
if you say nonpartisan, all you will get on your ballot is the referendum. So you will have an opportunity to vote on the referendum.
okay, so when I go in to vote, there will be an opportunity to declare at that time.
Yes, that's when you
So,
declare.
okay, that's what I was just trying to be clear on. Thank you.
I want to jump in real quick with a clarification. I think we should avoid the word declare because you're not declaring a party. What you're doing is you're requesting a ballot for
Yeah, you're
one
selecting.
party or the other.
Yeah.
So because there's no place official or unofficial where it says these are the Republicans, these are the Democrats. It's just these are the people who voted in the Republican primary or these are the people who voted in the Democratic Party. And here in Illinois, you can switch back and forth as often as you want. So I encourage all of us to avoid the word declare. You're just requesting a ballot.
Makes total sense. I appreciate that clarification.
For sure.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you, Julian. Yes, Carol?
So these different sites that you've mentioned, they all link where you can get information about candidates. They all link out of the League of Women Voters. Is that correct? Or there's Illinois
Some
Vote
of them do.
Guide.
Some of them will link out of the materials I send you. Or you
Okay.
can just Google them.
So just like sort of high level, so the league, the state, the League of Women Voters of Illinois. So we have a contract with sort of an outside voter guide company where we sort of make our own voter guide. So League of Women Voters of US has a voter guide tool, but it
Oh, yeah.
it's limited in what you can do with it. So that's why, a while back, Illinois decided to sort of have their own voter guide software system. From there, so all of our league stuff statewide kind of connects to this Illinois voter guide system. Through there, you can also get the links to whatever is happening locally because you plug in your information, so this stuff pops up. So that kind of is, one-stop shopping is sort of how I kind of call it. And a lot of our stuff will link to the Chicago Board of Elections, Cook County Board of Elections. Like there's all these other sites, usually a Board of Elections related, that we will link to as well. If there's other information that is nonpartisan, so something like the WTTW information or something like that, we will also sort of make decisions on ones that we think is appropriate to also be promoting and talking about based on sort of our trusted league brain of, what is appropriate. So we will not link to things that are, hyper partisan or stuff like that, because that is, not part of what we do. I will say, like, especially in the case of Chicago, we have a great relationship with the Chicago Board of Elections. So we do a lot of like kind of, sharing and promoting the Chicago Board of Elections site. They recently redid it and it's, a lot more user friendly. So a lot of our stuff will just kind of be like, oh, just go to the Chicago Board of Elections website and, it's here and there. But we actively use all of those tools. So I hope I kind of explained a little bit more.
But basically, you could go to the League of Women Voters and find a lot of links to get.
Mhm.
Right, but again, it's League of Women Voters of Illinois or Chicago. If you
Okay.
go to League of Women Voters of the US, their tool is called Vote 411. We do not use that tool.
It'll give you like some information, but for what we need in our state based on our election laws, the way politics works, it makes a lot more sense for our state to have sort of a tool that we can kind of very much customize for the needs of voters in our state as a whole. It really kind of, when we're dealing with a country where every state has different rules about these things, some tools work better than others, and this is what we've found with our state works best.
I think the easiest thing for everyone, if they go to the Chicago League website and under voter info, you're going to find the tools that you're going to need.
Yeah.
Helene will make sure that the links are there to the Illinois Voter Guide, to the TTW Voter Guide, etc. I think just keep in mind the Chicago League website, voter info.
Okay, are there additional comments, questions? Well, I would like to thank everybody who presented, and I'd like to thank everybody who participated in this. And what's the phrase? It's, you don't want to see how sausage is made. And that certainly is true with the way elections work in Illinois and in the US, as we're finding out in great detail, unfortunately, on the national level. So I hope you all have a good weekend. Nice Valentine's Day coming up. And if you have any questions or comments, send them to league@lwvchicago.org. And if you want to volunteer for anything, send it that way also.